I still wasn't believing it was COVID. I still thought we had some kind of flu. This was, March going into April. In hindsight, Doyle was a wonderful man. He and I had a relationship more than 20 years ago for 5 years, and we decided to call it quits, and we went our separate ways. And I never married anyone. He married someone else, and then he was divorced, and he called me out of the blue. And at that time, he said, "I've had cancer, I've had a stroke, and I had an epiphany, and I want to see you." And I said, "Well, I've been waiting." And so we got back together, and after that he had 2 more strokes, and he also was diagnosed with Parkinson's. When the pandemic started, when COVID-19 hit, I was broadcasting from home. Everyone at the radio station was broadcasting from home, and we were very careful. And so I have no idea how we got COVID-19. And we got it mid-March. I called the COVID hotline and told them our symptoms. We couldn't get tested because we didn't have a fever. Neither of us had fevers. He was far less impacted by it in the beginning than I was. I thought I was getting my usual sinus infection. I would get one every year. And then I just kept getting sicker and sicker. And still Doyle was doing okay. And then April came, and I was throwing up. I had diarrhea. I had horrible sweat coming out of me, chills at the same time. It was April 5th, I believe, when we called an ambulance. I couldn't function, and I couldn't take care of him anymore at that point. And his breathing started becoming labored as well. We went to the emergency room. He was in a different room than I was in. And I heard them ask him his name, and he yelled out, "Lucy Ann," because he was looking for me. He wanted to know where I was. We both got tested, and we both were told we had COVID. I asked them to put us in the same room together. And I remember getting wheeled up to the room. He was already in there, and the patient tech started wheeling me in, saw that it was a man in there, and said, "Ooh," and rolled me right back out until someone said, "No, that's her fiance." It wasn't your usual hospital experience where people are coming in all the time and wanting to be close to you. No one wanted to get close to you. They did everything by the doorway. Even doctors would just call me on the phone. It's a very lonely experience. I can't imagine if you're in there by yourself in the room. A nurse had an idea to push our beds together, and I'm so grateful she did that, because we were able to hold hands, and we were able to at that point he was barely talking, but we were able to communicate, and he knew I was there. So I was able to be with him when he took his last breath. But when I got out on April 15th, a nurse took me aside. I was being wheeled down the hall to go home, and a nurse took me aside, and she said, "I want you to know I was the one who told them to put your beds together, and when we did that, his breathing was elevated, came back." And it made me feel so good to know that he knew at that point that I was there and I was going to be with him on this journey. He was just so much fun. He always made me laugh, and we had a great time together. He had a good life. He really did. We had a good life together, and there are no regrets, I got my bill from University of Michigan Hospital, and it was a little under $40,000. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan paid the majority of that, of course. I think some $38,000 was all covered, and I knew I would have to pay the other part of that. And I got the bill, and I saw what I had to pay, and I wrote out the check and sent it in. I think it was $1,900, something like that. And about a week later, I get a check from Blue Cross. Blue Cross made a commitment to take care of this for their customers. And I've been a Blue Cross Blue Shield member since I was a little girl. I mean, that's all my family has ever known. And and it's always done very well for us. And I was so shocked. I knew about this, but I didn't know until it hit home, and everything was covered by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan. That helps. You're already going through so much. And when something like that happens and you don't have to worry about the economic impact on your family and having to pay something like that, especially for people that might not be working right now or working at a reduced rate, that goes a long way. This has been very devastating for people, whether they got COVID or not. When they say we're all in this together, we really are.